Hello, StarCraft fans! This is Falcon Paladin coming to you with yet another StarCraft Brood War upload. This is again from WCG 2010, the round of 8, and it's going to be Legend versus Flash. And let's get right on into it. In the top right-hand corner of the map, we have the purple Terran player. It is Legend. And in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, it is the white Terran player. You know him only as Flash. And also as potentially the greatest StarCraft player of all time, but whatever. All right, so this is round of 8 stuff. This is part of a 2-game series played by these players. So let's take a look and see who will come out on top today. Welcome aboard if this is your first time. Yes, this is an older Brood War game. I was sent these replays by one of my subscribers, actually, and he did want to shout out to a couple of Discord channels. So I'll put a link to those Discord channels in the description. If you want to talk old school Brood War and StarCraft Remastered with people on Discord, then check these out. I believe, is one of them just the Brood War Discord channel? I want to say that's what it was. Why do I feel compelled to express exactly what he wanted me to say here? And that's probably because he was such a nice guy to hook me up. I don't want to leave him hanging. So I'm going to do this quick thing where I look back through the conversation that we had. Meanwhile, it is a PvT, purple versus white. Not everything's red versus blue, you guys, at the highest levels back in the day. Anyway, modern Brood War Discord servers. And yes, so NHFFA is one of them, and foreign. Just simply the word foreign. So hashtag foreign. Go search for that in Discord. You can find it. You can find it. Find other people also love the Brood War and talk with them about stuff and find people to play with. And it's a really great place to be. Although in fairness, I haven't checked it out in a while. Hope it's still around. Because Discord servers can kind of come and go from time to time, as it turns out. Anyway, PvT action here. Got a 1 Gator from Legend. And what Legend is doing, I am a little bit reluctant to say that it should be modeled exactly. But, well, you know what? That's not fair. I was going to say, he's probably terrified to play against Flash, as everybody would be. But at the same time, come on. This guy's a pro. And honestly, trying to figure out who this guy was not easy. Legend is a very popular name in StarCraft. There's a Korean observer who goes by Legend, or went by Legend. He currently coaches an Africa Brood War team. And as far as I can tell, he never played professionally. He just observed and did a really good job of it. Like, people consider him one of the greatest StarCraft observers of all time, which I didn't know was a thing, but Legend is one of them. Also, there's currently a Canadian StarCraft player who is playing the Brood Wars, and I don't think it's him. He looks too young to have been playing professionally, 10 years ago at this point, or 7 years ago, I guess. But anyway, I don't think that's him either. So I don't know. This might be somebody I'm entirely missing, entirely forgetting about from my times watching the StarCrafts back in the day, because I really, really fell into StarCraft 2 when it came out and was in the beta, and kind of hurt my StarCraft knowledge a little bit. So I'm sure somebody's saying, "Oh, Legend. How would you forget about Legend, Falcon?" And the answer is, I have 3 kids. The answer to everything I ever forget is that I have 3 children. And that's it. That is the answer. Dragoon on this ramp for Legend, trying to hold against the evil SCV that wants to come and murder him. Cybercore is getting the ranged singularity charge on this Dragoon. And 1 shot taken on that SCV, bombing the Dragoon, and actually chasing him down. Can he catch this dude? It doesn't, I mean, the angling, once in a while, they'll get a shot off, but it's not like he's making ground, I don't think. The SCVs are fast, man. They got little jetpacks on their back, and Dragoons have 4 legs, but they're not really galloping. They're just kind of moving them all at the same time. Not really efficient moving style, I'd say. But, man, he really wants to kill this SCV, and Flash really doesn't want the SCV to die. Another shot taken, down to 50 HP. Probe hanging out. Oh, could have got a shot off on that dude, but here come the Marines, and yeah, the Dragoon decides to go on back home. SCV won that fight. There's no shame in that. SCV won the race home. Spider-Mine upgrade for the Vultures here at the factory and the machine shop. Tanks on the way. They don't have siege mode. I'm pretty sure that was not researched yet. He really, really wants to get Spider-Mines out before he gets siege mode, which makes a lot of sense, actually. I think I can get behind that process of thought. Meanwhile, range for Dragoons is done. Getting another gateway, which makes a lot of sense here. Additional tech would be nice here for Legend, but he is just probing up, doing a good job keeping up on that probe count, while at the same time expanding behind this. Expansion is on the way for Flash too. And Vulture's just tossing down spider mines and killing the scouting probe. Ooh, scouting probe. Tank got that kill, though. Stole it. I think stole it. Yeah, there was a probe up here hiding for a bit. He didn't put it on any pylons and flash to check and make sure that's the case. Definitely didn't happen. No such thing as pylons, no proxies up there. The probe just wanted to come in and scout, and I don't think got much of a scout, unfortunately. Did notice there was a tank, though. That's some good information to send back to the homeland. Dragoons hanging out in random places, trying to make sure that Flash just can't come kill him without him seeing it coming, which is really a huge part of StarCraft, is scouting out, making sure when your opponent is moving out, what their composition is, how many bases they have. There's nothing worse, you guys, than losing a game of StarCraft and then going back and watching the replay and being like, oh, my opponent had 2 ninja bases on the other corner of the map that I never bothered to scout. Then you take a long look at yourself in the mirror and think back at your life and the choices you've made. It's not great. So scout. Just do it. Falcon Paladin commands it. Meanwhile, back in Protosville, robotics facility done. Observatory coming in too. Observers very, very good, especially against these pesky spider mines that have been laid by them of Vultures. Probe, get to work. Probe, get to work. Again, you can't auto-rally your workers to mine. You can do that, but they'll walk over to the mineral patch and not actually do anything. It's the dumbest thing. I love it. I like it so much here. Dragoon is holding this. No, spider mine. Oh, wait. Never did. I'm confused. Doesn't one spider mine hit kill a Dragoon? That was a really weird thing that happened there. Someone will explain it to me, I'm sure. Anyway, so this is going to be a pylon wall. The Dragoon's trying to hold this as best as it can against Vulture in attacks at this third base location. There we go, third base nexus. Just now warping in from Legend. And another pylon here to prevent future Vulture-type attacks. Meanwhile, Vulture's just running around like they own the place, and they sort of do, actually. And it's going to be mech, because you know why? Because nobody does anything other than mech against Protoss in Brood War. It's just much more viable. The Dragoons are such a huge part of the composition, and they just do so poorly against tanks, and they do better against things like Firebats and Marines. So go for those tanks, Terran players. Observer here, scouting on in, says, oh, it's time for Flash to move. Move on out. Actually, what did the tank say? Move out. A little bit overextended there. A couple tanks dying. Another tank getting killed. This Dragoon attack, Flash extending a little bit too far here, you guys. He is losing a lot of stuff and not losing hardly any of his Dragoons either. That was incredible. And he's pushing. He's pushing up the front. He's going to kill this scouting barracks. Possibly, or at least cause it to fall down. Observer takes some shots with missile turrets, but not dead yet. Tank is here. There's only one tank here. How does Flash hold this? Tank taking some... No, there are 2 tanks. And one's getting repaired. SCV's getting surrounds on Dragoons. And I mean, the SCVs are sacrificing their lives, killing one of the Dragoons, actually, to get these Dragoons the heck on out of there. What an attack from Legend. Spider-Mine burrowing itself. Doesn't get taken down. Tank moving up just a little bit in range, and the Dragoons decide to retreat. What? That was amazing from Legend. If he'd had another reinforcing round of Dragoons there, I think he could have ended the game there. If he kills that natural base from Flash, and it's 3 bases to 1, I know Flash is really good, you guys, but with losing his natural base and a huge Dragoon army down there, I don't know what he would have done. I guess he probably knows what he would have done, but I don't know what he would have done. Oh, wow. I had to take a breather to recover from that. Spider Mine, oof, gets picked off. Those Dragoons really hate those guys. Dragoons trying to get rid of these Vultures that are running around to the front. Oh, picks off the wounded one very, very nicely. Spider Mine on the ramp. Okay, let's see this. Nope, doesn't matter. Got killed. No, maybe it doesn't one-shot him. Maybe I've been entirely misinformed this whole time. Either way, 2 tanks with Vulture support. This Dragoon group is just not good enough. Not good enough to push on in there, but they feel like doing some kind of pressure on the Flash. Not like the DC hero, the Flash. That's different. That's different, you guys. Although maybe that was the inspiration for Flash's name. I don't know. I honestly don't know how half of these Korean players choose their very English names. I mean, hero makes sense, and innovation kind of makes sense. I like innovation for a name. Flash. Anyway, I guess they do make sense. I'm just not sure about the thought process behind most of them. Perhaps Liquipedia knows. Perhaps the Liquipedia does know. Was that an observer got picked off by that missile turret? I think it was. I think it was. We don't get missile turret kills, though. Doesn't count those. And there's a little dude in that missile turret, which you can't really see here in the Brood War, the old school, just because the fidelity is not high enough. But in Remastered, there's totally a dude sitting in that missile turret, spinning around and around and around and just puking into a bucket once every about 3.5 minutes. It is not a good job, you guys. Missile turret pilot, bad news. Don't apply for that job if it shows up in your classified ads. All right, glad we got that taken care of. Okay, so Flash is fine. He's got a third base up now. He is happily building supply depots to wall off against attacks on his third base. These vultures of Flash's, unless I guess it's a vulture and a spider mine, kind of freaking me out. Over here on the top right side of the map, because I don't know what they're doing. Vulture, whoop, running away before it dies. Very close to dying, though. As a Legend possibly might go for a fourth base up here at the top. And here comes the army from, a Vulture army from Flash. No tanks here, which makes it not the official army, but it's an army nevertheless. Spider-Mine's hanging out. Tank's basically playing defense at this point. He's really worried about another counterattack by Legend, or at least just playing it safe. There's that fourth base, top side, just cleared out by Legend's Dragoons earlier. It is currently 130 supply for Legend compared to 113 for Flash, but it's very, very Dragoon heavy, and I don't think you can win just with Dragoons, man. You gotta do something else. He's getting upgrades at least, getting +1 attack now, about 11 minutes into the game. No upgrades yet on the Dragoons except for that range, which is just inherently necessary. Is what it is. Dragoons observers. More observers. Vulture run by, attempted to get up here at this new base. And they can get in. I mean, there's a cannon here, which is bad. Actually, the Vulture taking down a cannon. There are enough Vultures to do that. That was great. And this is actually really problematic here. Might end up losing this Nexus. Could Legend just do a Vulture attack, but it's not something I think I've said before. Alright, Vultures decided to get the heck out of there. They've got the speed. They can run. But the cannon and the Dragoons saved this base. This Nexus would have taken a lot of damage from the Vultures, except for the stuff that was left behind to defend by Legend. SCV holding the line here. I don't know against what exactly. Whatever comes here is going to kill that SCV very, very easily, as it turns out. Vulture's trying to run past these Dragoons. Nope. Middle of the map is not a great place to be if you're a Vulture right now, but heading up here anyway, I suppose. And these probes are running for their lives. Cannon getting some shots off and just trying to kill these probes, not even worrying about the cannon attacks or the zealots. Trying to kill as many of these workers as they can. Vultures are sacrificing themselves to make this thing happen. And really doing a number on this probe count. They just do so much damage against workers. I wish I could tell the worker count here, but that was a big time hit to the Protoss economy. 3 base to 4 base. That 4th base not as healthy as it otherwise should be. I believe 3 cannons here at this 4th base location. Couple spider mines. Almost gonna fire on those Dragoons. Can't quite do it. Can't quite do it, lads. And meanwhile, just more and more of these Vultures. More and more of the tanks. +1 attack is done for these vehicles of the Terran army. Got more and more science vessels getting EMP, which is a really good thing to have against Protoss, because taking out all the shields of a unit is fantastic. That's what EMP does in Brood War, you guys. 100% of the shields goes out. It is not a measured anything. Vultures, oh, sneaking into this 4th base again. Enough cannons here this time. 3 cannons, possibly enough to make it happen. Holding a bit of some map control are these Dragoons, a little bit, but these Vultures continuing to run around and just cause big time problems wherever they happen to go. So I would not actually call it map control. These Dragoons instead are just here. And that's what it is. Killing spider mines, but you can tell how many spider mines were killed, because I feel like it's a lot. Vultures coming in again to this 4th base. They don't care. There are 4 cannons here. Good probe pull this time, though. I like it. I like the probe pull, because a lot of these Vultures... Wow, all the Vultures just died. Vultures coming up the south way, though. There are just so many of them. And, man, these probes are just in so much trouble. Yes, once again, all the Vultures will die. I'm not sure that Flash actually cares. Oh, bad pathing there, Vulture. Again, it's a problem. It's a problem with Brood War, is the poor pathing of the AI. You have to babysit your units so much to get them to do exactly what you want them to do. Which is why, again, Flash is so considered so great. The fact that he could do it at all. Just ridiculous. APM staying steady over 200 from Legend. Flash is sitting at about 3 right now. Again, meching is not as APM heavy as Bio is. So if Flash is going against a Zerg opponent, you'll see a much higher APM, closer to 4. But mech, just a little more slow and steady, wins the race. Notice those tanks don't really have to be doing anything right now. They're just playing defense. He does have Vultures running all over the place, though. This attempt at a 5th base in the bottom right-hand corner looks a little bit ill-fated for Legend. These Vultures, man, have just been everywhere. Got +2 attack on these dudes, 24 damage per shot. And there are enough of them to take down this Nexus. There's really nothing to stop this from happening. I mean, the Dragoons are kind of trying to head over this way, but it's not going to happen. They're going to walk into some Spider Mines. Yep, there it is. I thought one Spider Mine kills. I don't understand why those Spider Mine hits weren't killing Dragoons earlier. So confused. Anyway, this Nexus goes down to Vultures. I can't believe how effective these Vultures are in the hands of Flash. And that's just sort of one of the things that makes great players great, is you look at that and say, that unit is not usually this good. Anyway, Zealots coming on in. Defensive Matrix topped on top of that tank, but it dies immediately anyway. Disruption Web. Oh, all over these tanks. They can't fire. It's basically Blinding Cloud for those of you who are curious as to what that is. I didn't know there were Corsairs being made. Picking off all those science vessels. What a Gosu play here from Legend. Defensive Matrix again absorbing a lot of shots, but not enough. I don't know. What an incredibly ginormous battle that was. And it looks like Legend held his own there, I would say. 128 supply for Flash and 145 for Legend. The Corsairs really doing their job. Storm on top of a Vulture does end up killing it. The Dragoons killing. Oh, an attempt of Flash to take a 4th base up to the left side. Legend is playing this extremely well right now. I am very impressed with this play. Dude, that Disruptor Corsair Zealot Dragoon play was a thing of beauty. Absolute thing of beauty. Also really doing a good job keeping Flash to 3 bases. I don't know really how else to express how amazed I am at that. That still on 3 base. Going for a 4th base now. Command Center is actively on fire though, which is a problem, but it looks like there are enough tanks here to save it for the time being. Flash is not going to let this burn down, right? He can't. He's Flash, although he is trying to set up at this 4th base location of Legend with some tanks and some Vultures. And make sure it's very hard to hold, at the very least, for Legend here. He's got some Vultures here and a few Zealots. +1/+1 is done on these guys. This thing is still on fire. We'll keep an eye on that. Storm Disruption Rep on the tanks. Tanks are not firing. Just so many blue dead Dragoons, though. There are enough tanks remaining that it was fine. Still no repair. I'm just... Maybe Flash knows he doesn't have to worry about it yet. This is amazing. Yeah, just too many tanks on the ground. They got that +2 attack. And they are taking out a couple of them. The Vultures getting up front to absorb some of those shots as well. This thing is going to burn down. I'm so distracted by it. Anyway, the Dragoons holding at this 4th base, but these tanks are going to come up here, and this is going to be a bad news situation. Suddenly, the tides have turned. Suddenly, this 4th base is not so viable for Legend. And suddenly, a 4th base has been established by Flash, although it is actively on fire. Either way, Vulture's really good against Zealots, really good against light units in general. And then the tanks, just everything you want against Dragoons. Is it going to be enough, though, to hold these tanks on the low ground, causing major problems? And there's the repair. Dang it, Flash. Wait until the last second, man. Here's an Arbiter, possibly for stasis, possibly for recall, but suddenly it is 130 supply for the Protoss and 172 for Flash. Great Disruption Web, catching 3 tanks in it. Handful of Dragoons at the top of this ramp. Can they get there? And by get there, I mean hold this off. I don't know if it's going to happen. Cloaking, scan. Yeah, cloaking these Dragoons doesn't help so much when there's a lot of scan available. Dragoon versus a big-time, huge mech army from Flash. He's crushing through here. And that might be it for Legend. This army's showing up. There are a handful of Dragoons. Tanks are getting stormed extremely well. Wow, the Legend holding on as best he can. Goliath's trying to get rid. EMP tossed down on the Arbiter, down to 0. Shields trying to get an Archon in here. Morph it in. No, it's exploded beforehand. Tanks continuing to move up 149 to 104. Total supply. Corsairs, Dragoons, Legend holding on. But more tanks show up from Flash, and that's it. A good game from Legend. Flash is victorious, and your Terran player is the winner today. Oh, that was scrappy. That was honestly a little more scrappy than I expected, but man, Flash expanding everywhere in the meantime. Again, macro and micro. The combination is just insane with decision-making from Flash. That's how you do Terran. I mean, that's clinical. Tanks, Vultures, science vessels. Don't worry about Disruption Web. It's not that big a deal. I told you the story. I think I've said this story before, but man, Disruption Web, it used to be like 2 minutes long. It was so long when it was introduced, and they nerfed it pretty quick. They're like, oh, this is ridiculous. It can last like 5 seconds or 10 seconds. That's fine. That's good enough, as it turns out. All right. So that's going to be it from me. Actually, no, we can do this thing, can't we? We can do this thing. Right? Do we get a score screen? Oh, no, we don't get a score screen. That's only remastered for some reason that we get that, right? Pretty darn sure, anyway. It is, because we can either exit or... Yeah, that's right. That's right. Okay, never mind. Got confused for a minute. All right, so that's going to be it for me. This has been Falcon Paladin coming to you with yet another StarCraft Brood War Classic upload. Go ahead and hit that like button. Hit that subscribe if you like what you saw and what you heard today. You can also catch me on Twitter, Facebook, and Patreon, all at /Falcon Paladin. And until next time, as always, thank you so much for watching, and you take care of yourself.